The wind howled through the broken boards of the mountain cabin like a wounded animal, carrying with it the smell of rot, damp earth, and forgotten years. To anyone passing by, it looked like a place already claimed by time, a ruin waiting to collapse. But on that cold morning, an elderly couple sat quietly outside it, their shoulders hunched, hands folded, eyes heavy with memories. They had been abandoned by the very children they raised with love, yet they were still breathing, still hoping. And from this broken place, something extraordinary was about to begin. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength of people who refuse to give up, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a kind comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still searching for light. They had once lived in a small town below the mountains, in a modest house filled with laughter, arguments, birthdays, and ordinary miracles. The man had worked his whole life with his hands, rising before sunrise, returning after dark, his back slowly bending under years of honest labor. The woman had stitched warmth into that house with her cooking, her prayers, her patience, and her quiet endurance. They raised children who learned to walk on those floors, who learned right from wrong under that roof, who were loved even when money was scarce. But time has a way of changing people. The children grew, moved to cities, chased careers, comforts, and pride. Calls became shorter, visits rarer, until one winter, they stopped coming altogether. When the debts came and the house was taken, there were promises made over the phone, temporary words filled with excuses. Just for now. We'll figure something out. But days turned into months, and no door opened for them. With what little they had left, the couple climbed toward the mountains, following a path the man remembered from his youth. At the edge of a clearing stood an old cabin, long abandoned, its roof caved in, windows shattered, walls gnawed by weather. It was never meant to be a home again. Yet it was the only place that did not turn them away. The first nights were unbearable. Cold crept through every crack, settling into their bones. Rain leaked through the roof, soaking the floor where they slept wrapped in thin blankets. The woman cried quietly, not because of the hunger or the pain, but because of the silence. No voices. No phone calls. No footsteps returning home. The man said little, but his eyes carried the weight of a lifetime of sacrifices that now felt invisible. Still, each morning, he stood up, picked up his old walking stick, and went outside to face the day, because stopping meant surrender. They began with nothing but stubbornness and faith. The man collected fallen wood from the forest, dragging it back piece by piece. He patched holes in the walls with scraps, old boards, and even flattened tin. The woman cleaned the inside slowly, sweeping away years of dust, animal nests, and decay. She lit small fires, cooked what little they could gather, and whispered prayers over every meal. Their hands trembled with age, their bodies ached, but something inside them refused to die. Days passed, then weeks. The cabin changed almost imperceptibly at first. A sturdier roof stopped the rain from pouring inside. A small garden patch appeared near the door, soil turned with aching hands, seeds planted with hope rather than certainty. The woman saved water carefully, nurturing the fragile green shoots as if they were children. The men repaired an old bench outside, sanding it smooth, turning it into a place to rest and watch the sun rise over the mountains. In the evenings, they sat together, saying little, but sharing a silence that felt earned. Loneliness remained their greatest enemy. At night, memories came uninvited. The laughter of grandchildren they barely knew. The sound of doors closing behind children who never looked back. The woman sometimes stared into the fire as if she could see her past burning away. The man clenched his jaw, reminding himself that bitterness would only poison what little time they had left. They had lost many things, but they would not lose their dignity. Winter arrived early in the mountains. Snow blanketed the ground, testing everything they had built. The roof groaned under its weight. Food grew scarce. The man's strength faltered one icy morning, his legs giving way as he carried firewood. Fear flashed across the woman's face as she helped him inside, her hands shaking. For the first time, the possibility of the end felt close, not as an idea, but as a presence sitting quietly in the corner. Yet even then, they did not curse their children. Instead, they held hands and promised each other that as long as one could breathe, they would keep going. Something unexpected began to happen when spring returned. Travelers hiking through the mountains noticed the cabin no longer looked abandoned. Smoke rose from its chimney. Flowers bloomed near its walls. A small fence marked a garden alive with color. People stopped, curious, and were greeted by an elderly woman with gentle eyes and a tired smile. The men offered water, sometimes vegetables, sometimes just a place to sit. They never asked for anything, yet their kindness lingered in the hearts of those who passed through. Word spread quietly. A hiker left behind extra food. Another repaired part of the roof without being asked. A family returned one summer with paint and tools, saying the place had given them peace. Slowly, the ruined cabin transformed. Not into something grand or modern, but into a living space filled with warmth. The walls grew stronger. The garden expanded. Birds returned. Laughter, soft and cautious at first, found its way back into the clearing. The couple changed too. The woman's eyes sparkled again when she spoke about her plants. The men stood a little straighter, pride returning in small but meaningful ways. They still felt the ache of abandonment, but it no longer defined them. Instead of waiting for love that never came, they created it. They built a paradise not of luxury, but of purpose, resilience, and shared humanity. One afternoon, a letter arrived, carried by someone who had heard of them. It was from one of their children. The words were hesitant, filled with guilt and explanations. The woman read it slowly, her hands trembling. The men watched her face, ready for anger, tears, or collapse. Instead, she folded the letter carefully and placed it beside the fire. Forgiveness did not mean forgetting, but it meant choosing peace over resentment. They had already built a life without waiting for apologies. As years passed, the cabin became a symbol. People came not to pity the couple, but to learn from them. How did they survive abandonment? How did they turn loss into beauty? The answer was never spoken directly. It was visible in the way they worked side by side, in the meals shared with strangers, in the silence filled with understanding. They proved that being discarded by others does not make a life worthless. Sometimes, it clears the path for something deeper. Now, near the end of this story, if it touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you of someone you love or something you've been through, please take a moment to like the video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps keep these human stories alive. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with a single word or sentence about what this story made you feel. Your words might inspire someone else who feels forgotten today. In their final years, the couple often sat on the bench outside the cabin, watching the mountains change colors with the seasons. They spoke of simple things, the weather, the garden, the kindness of strangers. Regret no longer ruled their conversations. They had turned a ruined place into a home, and abandonment into freedom. Their children had left them behind, but life had not. And in that quiet mountain clearing, surrounded by birds, flowers, and the echo of resilience, they found something many never do, a paradise built not from what they were given, but from what they refused to lose.